Many are now also faced with scarcity of naira notes. But there isn't the fifth columnist, if I have to put it that way, you know, people working against the candidate or working against your candidate. And I wonder what you make or what we should make of all of this if it is assumed that members of the same party who are supposed to work, you know, to ensure that their candidate emerges are working against the party.
Well, it is what it is. I think that what is important to note is that the majority of Nigerians, the common man out there, that would decide who the next president of this country will be, not some of people faceless people somewhere. So we're focused on delivering the message of hope, the message of economic renaissance to these Nigerians, because we believe that they essentially will make the choice. And if there's any thing to go by the feedback we're receiving, that message is resonating with them. We are on course as we speak, based on our internal polling, to at least cross the threshold in at least 30 states of the Federation, which means that the messages that Asiwaju has been going about propagating to the people is getting home. And you must understand that this is not strange to our candidate. At every time that he has contested for election, he has always been the underdogs. He has always been written off. At the primaries, he was written off. He became victorious. In Lagos State, he was challenged. He was an underdog fighting against Obasanjo. Well, I mean, we're people behind those. There's no credibility to those polling in any way. But of course, because we work scientifically, in every areas we're focusing on, with scientifically, you know, deciphering what those people want to hear. What
that area, because we've seen that too in the Emefiele's financing. That
yes.
It did not take into consideration the cultural. Are you a finance guy? Yeah, it did not even take into consideration the cultural aspect of finance.
I think that's key, because some of the polling data that I've seen from the pretenders, so to speak, I've seen them calling people, using it on the phone, calling 300 people. If you're going to conduct a detailed and truthful poll, you go into the communities, you go into the rural areas, you deploy the necessary cultural tools that is useful for them to speak and tell you their own thinking about the election. And that's what we've done internally. We've, in those areas, outward network to get this feedback, and we're reliant on them, and we're confident that they speak to the interest of the people.
This polling, I wonder, in this part of the world, we seem to be maybe copying the West now. You see different polls. It never used to be part of anything around here.
Polling in
yes,
this country.
Yes, yes. So we've always done that, really. But of course, people are copying that now. But when you want to copy it, you copy it in the right and truthful and manner. But beyond that is to say that for any serious politician or public sector analyst, what their desires are, you must know what is really the key issues that they want you to address. And it is by polling and sampling that you do that. But the key thing is to ensure that that sampling is done effectively and efficiently and in a very transparent and credible manner. But what we see around that is being bandied around are obviously poll data that are induced to skew people's
tendentious polling.
Yes.
But this fuel crisis to start with. Can you paint a scenario if we didn't have the what I call a Milokon too, the Abeokuta outcry of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu? Imagine what the situation would be now.
You see, it's very important for Nigerians to note that if you look at the fuel crisis, the Naira crisis, if there's been any candidate that has actually been agitating and fighting for the common man in terms of making the effort, diverting government's attention and focus to addressing those issues, is Asiwaju. He has always been at the side of the common man. For a candidate that is seeking the election of the vote of Nigerians not to come out and speak to that, it shows that they don't care about the people.
Even he spoke to it and he said that we should support it.
Yes,
we should support.
So are we?
He says
Yes, he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. Asking the ordinary person to bear some inconvenience. They are not using adjectives, as I said earlier. What do you call it? Atiku said little inconvenience. Obi says some inconvenience. So we should now have the inconvenience and they shall have the comfort. Is that what they're saying? That they are not, in short, they are belittling the suffering of the people.
Because they are far removed from the reality. But we will tell them what the reality is. The reality right now is that people can go to the market and shop. Businesses, first and foremost, you need to understand that almost 50% of contributors to Nigerian economic activities and GDP are small business owners. These small business owners, not only articulating any public policy. Now, when CBN came out to say that we should do a currency swap, which this was supposed to be, nobody ever told Nigerians that if I pay my 1 million naira in, my 10,000 naira in, I'm not going to get it back. They said, bring your old note and collect new note. But what we're seeing now is you've given your note and you're not getting anything back. It's dangerous. People are suffering, people are hungry, people are angry. Now, the other articulation of the CBN and everybody is that, it's going to help the electoral process and make it more transparent and bring integrity. And let me decipher this. Whether we like it or not, cash is still an integral element of the electoral process. And I'll tell you why. On election day, INEC is going to employ ad hoc staff. They're going to transport materials from point A to point B. Nigerian police would deploy its staff. Even the party would deploy their agents because the agents are an integral part of that electoral process and the integrity of that process. All of these guys will be paid money and in cash. You can tell me that we will transfer to their account, but transferring to their account in itself is not enough if they are going to use that money to enter public transport, because they are going to use that money to buy food. So how, if they can't access the money that you transferred into their account, how are they going to do that? And how do you then justify or...
November 7 in my column, that it will get to a point, that was November 7, that it will be hard for you who is selling kose in Jigawa to do your business.
It is.
Or if you are selling ogbono soup in Bayelsa to do your business. Is that not what you are seeing today?
It is.
That's what you are seeing today.
I will crave your indulgence, because sometimes when we borrow ideas from different climes and, we bring it here, we must be careful. Like I said, our electronic payments system and e-payments, whatever that we're trying to encourage, as laudable as it is, as prevalent as it is in the urban centers of Kano and Lagos and all of that, is still very, very minuscule. Now, I will read from Andrew Griffith. Andrew Griffith is a member of parliament in the UK, and is also the director of policy of Number 10. And that's a very, very key position to hold. He just permits me to read. He said, one of the macro trends we are likely to see continue in 2023 is the continuous switch away from cash to electronic payments. Over the last decade or so, the use of cash to pay for goods and services have declined by almost 3/4. The industry body, UK Finance, reports that 85% of all payments are now made electronically. I'm getting somewhere. It is not just the young. Around 8 out of 10 people of retirement age are using contactless card for technology at least once a month. However, as Telegraph readers regularly, because I saw this in the Telegraph, regularly and rightly point out, for now, cash is a necessity that millions couldn't live without, and a backup for all of us if online systems fail. Just as with COVID and higher cost of energy due to Putin's invasion of Ukraine, protecting the vulnerable is at the core of this government's value. We will not leave behind the rural communities, the elderly, or those who use cash to manage their personal finances as the UK undergoes this transition. And the point I'm making is this. UK has 85% electronic payment penetration. And it is still, with that 85%, proposing a bill that will ensure the availability of cash to people. So why are we, in an economy that is mostly driven by cash, that do not have the penetration level that the UK has, now stifling people with cash? By the way, electronic payments and other channels are supposed to be an alternative or an addition. It doesn't mean cash. I can choose not to have a bank account. I can choose to...
That the bank CEOs are not even... They're not... that the bank CEOs are not even... They're not saying anything, but they're not giving us any money. So what's going on?
They're not saying anything because there is a culture fear between the banks and the CBN, given that is the all-conquering overseer. So they won't say anything. But if I were the president, I'll pick up my call and call the bank MDs. How much have you received today? How much has been given to you? So it's easy for the governor to sit down and say, oh, I've given you money. But the banks, if they've given you money, they will, because they are the ones suffering the brunt. They are suffering the brunt of Nigerians daily. So they won't keep money in their vault and be telling us we don't have money. It's because the money is not available.
Although there are videos we're seeing of some banks hoarding the new Naira notes.
Only 6 million? 6 million Naira?
Yeah, but let's talk about
5,000, 5 million Naira?
Let's talk about that after the break. Let's talk about that after the break. You're watching TVC Breakfast, and we are looking at some of the issues going on right now, but the hope that is on the horizon. Now, let's go on a break. We'll be right back shortly. Stay with us.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who are governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote for APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From
You're watching TVC Breakfast, and on this segment, we've been looking at what Nigerians are talking about, but we are seeing it from the perspective of the fact that a candidate of one of the ruling political parties, APC, he's saying that in all of this, I have the solution to bring to Nigerians and see how we can make Nigeria grow and become different from how it has always been. I have in the studio a member of the APC and the lawyer, Seun Falaye. We have been looking at all of this, dissecting the realities of the issues. Now, Seun, before we went on the break, we were talking about the Naira redesign.
Yeah.
And as it is, we have seen a lot of videos of people fighting within the banks. We've seen people even attack. In fact, the riot, the demonstration and the attacks in Ibadan, in Oyo, we saw that. In Benin, we saw that. In fact, people stripping naked in banks as a way of protesting the fact that my money is here, I can't get my money, as the case may be. Now, in all of this, some people have said that they seem to be a deliberate attempt at creating...
asking questions because it's believes, common sense that at the time that we're having a crucial election, some issues are agitating the peace and stability of Nigeria. I mean, what you see, whether contrived or not, is a recipe for disaster. And I'm not sure any government, any sane government, even in the guise of a good policy, would want to see that. And that's right why we're asking, why are you hell-bent on articulating these policies in this manner? Why is there fuel scarcity at this rate? And what we see is that corruption one way or the other are fighting back. We've seen Ashwaju talk about removal of fuel subsidy. So what's going on around a sudden lack of availability of fuel between either the regulators and the marketers? What is going on? Do you understand? We've seen where you're really contriving to stir up people's emotion. Because when you go to the banks, when you remove people's livelihood, when you remove people's ability to send their kids to school, to eat, to do their normal business. Look, I know people that really go out in the morning to take 20,000 naira, go and buy rice, bag of rice, small rice, then divide it, sell, in those people can't do that anymore.
Went to his governor and he said, please, I have no cash. Can I have some cash? If you can give me 1 million. So there's some things I need to do, but I cannot do it. He has access to a governor. Many people don't.
Do not.
So this head of state will come out now and say, this is the problem I have. But it's in the bush there.
Yes.
Doing whatever he wants to do. But it tells us the story of how a policy can alienate the people when you think that you are trying to focus on a certain set of a certain cadre of the elite.
You see, that's one example. And, when you keep quiet in the face of tyranny, in the face of bad policies, this is what happened.
Yes.
Some of these candidates, particularly the PDP and the LP candidate, thought that the policy would be detrimental to Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu by inciting the people to go against his party, his candidature, and all of that. And to be honest, we're seeing it the other way around, because we're not looking, even us as supporters, the party members are looking at, what is it that this man that has promised so much, that said he will do this, he will remove fuel subsidy, he will create super cultural products, he will, increase our outputs generally, we're putting all sorts of impediments in his way. So we're hell-bent on ensuring that victory is not truncated. And then independent Nigerians are looking at, there must be something here. If all of these people even more, put things in perspective for us, that we must ensure that we get out ourselves and vote and ensure that our votes count. Like I said, I'm also seeing a lot of shifts, like from some of these polling that we've done from independent candidates, looking at, they've seen the policies articulation from all of the candidates. They've seen the person with the energy that has traversed the length and breadth of Nigeria and continue to look at the implementation, because I don't believe that he's being given the right information to make the right decision. So he should put a high-power independent panel to quickly look at the preparations leading up to this fiasco, and then, of course, is put a stop to it now, because Nigerians are really not happy, and it could damage his legacy, I'm afraid.
Now, the economy is what it is. People cannot...
At our currency, our monetary policies, and our economic outlook. And I'm surprised that an institution that is tasked with doing that, knowing where we stand economically in terms of our growth trajectory and how delicate it is given the global, global happenings, has now resulted into stifling that growth the more. Because you have a bird's eye view on what's going on in the economy. You know how cash is important. You know how important. You are now the one that is now stifling and locking the door against people's money. It's really bad. Please, tell me, if I go to the bank, and if major Nigerians or all Nigerians go to the bank today and say, look, I've given you my money. I've come the first day, second day, third day, almost a week now. You've not been able to give me. I don't think you are sound. Give me back my money. This can lead to a run on the banks. And it then leads to trying so hard to bring the unbanked to the banking sector. You've now done it in a way of bringing the banking to the unbanked. Because people are really just going to unwind to the other side and say, look, these guys cannot be trusted. You didn't want us to be putting money under our pillow. I think it's better now to be putting money under my pillow.
It's going to create what I can call cynical finance.
Yes.
It's really a scary one, the way you have painted the picture. And as it is, I wonder what the president has said, give me 7 days. Although 7 days for fuel, but Nigerians also expect that in that 7 days, let it solve not only the fuel scarcity, but let it also solve the naira issue.
Producing at least what we consume locally, and we should be servicing our neighboring countries. It's a no-brainer. And for Ashwaju, these are things he would do in a heartbeat. You know.
Now, we are talking about the CBN man saying that he has given money to the banks. Is it not time for transparency? Let him publish how much he gave UBA, how much he gave GTB, how much he gave Zenith, how much he gave Providence or Fidelity. Let us know. Let him come out and tell us.
If you speak, and really, we should ask those questions because this is a very, very dear time that you've lost credibility. The CBN has lost credibility in this. And what I've seen is that at little hardship or opportunity for where there's scarcity, we see ourselves also taking advantage of each other. That's why you will see a POS dispenser or POS attendant that normally charges 0.1%, now charging 20%. You understand? That's why you will see even the few money that the CBN has made available to banks, the bankers within themselves will still give some to the people that are changing money. We also must be very fair to each other. And that is very important in the scheme of things. You know, one of the key things that an Ashwaju government will do when it comes in is the reorientation of Nigerians' mentality to be honest, to have self-esteem, to have, you know, the ability to show empathy to each other. These things are very crucial if we were to get out of some of the challenges that we face as a people.
All right, with this currency issue, how best should the CBN have gone about it? The time, also considering the timing as well, because we are approaching elections.
So the timing itself was ill thought of. At every time that we are undertaking general elections, we know as a people that the polity is usually high. The tension in the policy is high. I don't think that's the time to then introduce some form of systematic monetary change. But given that as it may, even if you introduce it, there's enough time to do that. There should be consultation. Did we consult with the governors who are the security officers in their states who understand the challenges and the peculiarities of their communities? Did we consult with the bankers? Did we even call the manufacturing association, call the small business owners, sensitize the people? Look, in India, in UK, all of these places, when they do that, it's usually a 2-3 year window where they're already, you know, talking about it. They're already sensitizing the people. All of the dispensing channels are open, and, you know, I'm not sure that Nigerian, and one of the key things you will
done in Nigeria within the time. And he gave the president a bill, and the president signed it. He told the governors this. They signed off on it that, okay.
What is important is whether his advisors are giving him the right information and telling him the right things. Do you understand? So we believe that the president didn't have the right information, and we think those questions should be asked at the moment. Look, from the fellas that we have, MFLA is hell-bent on continuing on this trajectory. The CBN is hell-bent on continuing on this trajectory.
The Bible says that because of one man, sin came on into the whole world. So it is possible that because of one man, suffering is all over Nigeria. So it has to take another man to stop it.
It's important because, yes, you want to stop money laundering. We know that the availability of cash outside of the public, of the banking system fuels all of this criminality. We also know that the more we bring this money into the banking system, the banks are now able to lend more and do more. But you cannot do those things to the detriment of people. Yeah. It has to be balanced.
All right. As we wrap up generally, you have constantly told the people, vote Asiwaju, vote APC as it is. Talk to the people who are watching right now. Why is APC the party to vote?
APC is the party to vote because when you look at the people, the three candidates that have put themselves up for election as president of Nigeria, are the most competent, the most passionate, the most committed amongst them, even from some of these things that we've talked about. Somebody that has stood up to Nigeria is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. When you look at the policy thrust of his agenda in terms of it's taking us productivity that we're looking at to enhance, I don't think that there's anybody that is capable of, of delivering on those sort of promises. I think one of the key things that I'm also very encouraged with, as from Asiwaju's perspective, is his team. When I look at the people that usually surround him, the people that he moves with, the people that he has governed with in the past, and that is most likely going to govern with when he assumes power, I'm more or less convinced that Nigeria will be in the right hands. You cannot tell me when you look at an Atiku's team or an Obi's team and look at Asiwaju's team and you think that they are in the
section of the program. We thank you for spending your morning with us. We need to let you know that the views and reaction of all our resource persons are their views and have no connection with TVC News. I will see you tomorrow. Bye now.